Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 95 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making me one of them. If you're a first-time listener to the podcast, then hey, super welcome to you. Thanks so much for landing here. And if you're a regular listener, then welcome back. I really appreciate you coming back to listen to yet another episode. I am, of course, the host, Jen Donovan, and it's my job via this podcast, social media, and just about everywhere else I hang out to make your business life simpler. I'm a thought leader when it comes to marketing here in Australia and a marketing strategist for small businesses. Why? Well, because I know that business can be lonely and hard and complicated, and it's rarely easy, and 2020 has just thrown us all a huge curveball, but I want to make it simple for you, or at least simpler. So that's my commitment to you on the so-named Small Business Made Simple podcast. This episode is sponsored by Spend With Us, www.spendwithus.com.au, an online marketplace for rural and regional businesses. So if you're already thinking about your Christmas shopping, head over to Spend With Us and support 500 or nearly 600 small businesses there who have suffered through prolonged droughts, last summer's bushfires, and now COVID. They even have gift vouchers that you can use site-wide so you can support any business that you want. Of course, if you are listening and you are a small rural or regional business and you think, hey, I need to get online to make more sales, then consider joining Spend With Us with one of their membership options. They start at $0 and go all the way up to $147 a year. Either way, check out spendwithus.com.au. Today, it's slightly off topic as well as being completely on topic with social media and marketing. My question to you is, have you watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix? The Social Dilemma is a documentary about how technology has been made for us, but really to make money from us. And interestingly, it's told by the tech people, like the actual human beings who have contributed to making the algorithms on Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube and all these other platforms that we enjoy every day. It's kind of like they're saying, we're sorry we invented it, but now we can't stop it. It's like they've put the cart before the horse and now they have no control over the horse whatsoever. It talks about why we're so addicted to our phones and how that's seriously no accident, so stop blaming yourselves. It's actually made to make us addicted. Now, I do think that you should watch it. If you have children, I think you should watch it a second time with them. I think you should give yourself the space to watch it yourself the first time, and then perhaps watch it a second time with your family. But I'm not recommending you watch it so it freaks you out. I don't want it to freak you out, but knowledge is power. So we need to know these things. It's something that we use all the time, so we should know as much as we possibly can about it. For most of us who have been on social media a little while though, and perhaps have listened or watched or learned about social media as we've gone through our business journey, they're really not telling us anything we didn't know or didn't suspect anyway. But it is really interesting. One of the worst, I think we're just going to go with worst things that for me came out of it is I'm the product. You and me, we are the products. Humans, our time, our habits, our thoughts, they're the saleable item. It's never been like this in all of trading history. Trafficking in humans is clearly illegal. But here, via the technologies we invite into our houses every single day, we are for sale, not physically, obviously, but our time and our attention is 100% for sale. So the irony, if I can say that word right, the irony of all of this is that you're probably listening to this on your smartphone. Or you may have learnt about this podcast on social media where I do a lot of my marketing. And I get that. I do get the irony of it all. But believe it or not, the social dilemma isn't actually what I wanted to talk to you about necessarily today. It's just one of those little seeds I wanted to plant in your head. Have you watched it? I think you should watch it, and then I think you should watch it again from a business owner's point of view. But today, I really just wanted to talk to you about building empires on other people's real estate. It's something I find myself talking about more and more and more. So what do I mean? What do I mean by building an empire on other people's real estate? Well, basically, I mean building your brand, building your business, building your empire, in inverted commas, on land that's owned by Mark Zuckerberg or Microsoft when it comes to LinkedIn, Mark Zuckerberg when it comes to Facebook and Instagram and all the other platforms. Land or space you seriously have no control over and never will. And if you watch The Social Dilemma, you will know that this is even more true than you ever thought it was going to be. My world isn't very big. My social world is probably bigger than most people's, with about 1 million impressions a month. Not just mine, but all my brands overall. But my world is still quite small. Clients, acquaintances, family, friends. I live rurally. I don't live in a big town. My world is still pretty small. However, I would see, hear, read, touch base with probably a large handful of people each month who have had their social media accounts hacked or lost because of one reason or another. For instance, competitors playing hardball, someone pretending to be them, or potentially ruining their brand. And of course, hackers. I've had a personal experience with a hate page being made against one of my brands. So not fun at all. And frankly, it really didn't end the way I wanted it to. In fact, now I just ignore it. It still exists out there in the big wide world, but I have to ignore it because I can't do anything about it. It no longer really concerns me, and I really do think about it. Other than, of course, for good reasons, like an example on my podcast today. Because despite my best efforts, despite calling in all my big guns, my connections, my family, my friends, my bigger social world, there was literally nothing I could do. There was literally Facebook hierarchy just weren't prepared to help whatsoever. So I've had to go, c'est la vie. Whatever will be, will be. And I've just had to learn to live with it. But that is what it's about, building an empire on someone else's land. I have no control over the fact that someone had created a hate page and was pretending to be me. Or to be one of my brands, I should say. So this podcast episode is around warning you and alerting you and pleading with you to do some of these things that I'll get to in a sec to make yourself and your empire safe on the platforms you don't own and you don't control. I'm going to give you 3 tips to save yourself the heartache of losing what you've worked so hard for, either temporarily or forever. My first tip, and this is the one that I really want to stress the most, is start your email list today. No excuses, no arguments, no, Jen, I don't know how, I don't know why, Jen, I just don't know where to start. Just do it. I cannot tell you how so important an email list is going to be in your business if you have a fallout on social media, get hacked, or lose the ability to control the empire you're building. Ask yourself, and I know I've mentioned this on a ton of podcasts before, if social media disappeared tomorrow, do you still have a business? If your answer is no, you have a problem. You have a serious problem. Would you build a house on a piece of land you didn't own? Well, of course not. And so therefore, this really isn't that much different. My most recent experience of an acquaintance who lost control of their social media led to tens of thousands of dollars in lost revenue. Each day, through 100% of no fault of their own, except they didn't have a contingency plan, aka an email list. So they lost tens of thousands of dollars, and really it wasn't their fault. After 3 weeks of heartache, they got in touch with me through a mutual acquaintance, and I worked on getting it back. I worked tirelessly to try and get that back. Now, I don't have a direct line to Facebook or Instagram. In fact, no one does. And I think that's one of the things. Facebook doesn't have a help desk. Instagram doesn't have a help desk. It really is creative thinking on how you are going to get this fixed. So I called in favors. I reached out to my network. I sat online in those helplines, talking to robots, crossing my fingers that one day or 1 minute or 1 hour, I would eventually make it through to a human. I made phone calls to anyone I could think. I made new connections on LinkedIn that worked for Facebook, or that's what their LinkedIn profile said. I did all of this to try and help. After a week, so 4 weeks in total, and hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost revenue later, he's all sweet again. He's got it. Everything is back the way it should. Like I said, there's no phone number to the help desk of Facebook. It's just relentlessly trying to get someone to empathize with you enough to escalate your problem under the right nose to get it solved. And all this heartache, when if they had an email list, could have been a hell of a lot stressful, or a hell of a lot less stressful, with a series of emails going out to their loyal fans, their past customers, their future customers that had said, hey guys, we're offline, we're still here, we haven't disappeared, let's go back to the old-fashioned phone or the dog and bone, give me a call if you need me, here's my direct number. Imagine if this guy had have been able to do that. Yes, possibly still some money, revenue might have been lost, but not as much as what actually happened. And as much as I felt for the business owner I was working with, and I hope that he's not a podcast listener, I was a little bit frustrated that it had to be so stressful, that with it being a little bit more strategic with marketing and how you communicate with your customers could have made life a little bit easier for them, and maybe even a little bit more profitable within the time that social media was down for them. I have so many examples of this. Honestly, I could talk forever, but I really hope that you can hear me pleading in my voice to start an email list today. I do have a couple of episodes in the podcast about list building, episode 9 and 10. So you'll find them at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/9 and socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/10. And you can see that they were so early on in my podcast journey. What's this, 95? That's how important it is. That was one of the first subjects that I talked about. And I must admit, I'm always looking for signs in my life and always looking for signs in my business. And I think this one was a big one for me in the past week. I think 2021 is going to be about me diving into teaching small business owners more about email marketing to stop this sort of heartache happening when people are building empires on land they don't own and they don't control. So watch this space. My next 2 tips aren't going to be quite as long, and they won't be accompanied by a lecture, but they are super, super important for keeping your business profile or your business Facebook and Instagram safe. So my second tip is for Facebook and your Facebook business page. Have 2 admins, always. If it's a precious resource or asset for your business, put some security around it by having another admin. Not a person who's an editor or any of those other little things that you can do. An admin, so they have as much power as you. Obviously, you're going to need someone that you trust, but it just means that if someone tries to hack you, they have to try and hack 2 people because 2 people have control. So in theory, you should, of course, be alerted to this a lot quicker because there's 2 of you looking at this rather than just the one of you. If you think that you don't get hacked or you don't think it'll happen to you, just put put a little poll up with your friends and family and ask them how many people have had their Facebook hacked. And I think you will be seriously surprised. My third tip and my last tip is for Instagram, and it's similar, but it's setting up your double authentication. So go to Instagram, go to your bio, go to your settings, which is up the very top. It looks like a hamburger, 3 little lines, top right-hand corner. Go to your settings, go to security, and go to 2-factor authentication. Again, it's safety in numbers when it comes to hackers. I want you to pinky promise me that you will do all three of these things, and maybe even the last 2, like right now, because they'll literally take you no time at all. And I want you to do them within the next 72 hours because we need to take action. I need you to realize how important these things are for your business when you are building a business online. If you're not sure how to start an email list, well, of course, listen to episode 9 and 10 of this podcast. Go and have a look on YouTube as well if you're a YouTuber. Just Google it and see what comes up. And just start organizing email addresses in a spreadsheet. Name, obviously, but do first and last in separate columns because that will help you in the future. Their email and mobile number if you can. Look, if you're emailing your clients now with quotes or bills or regarding work, then you have their email addresses. Sort them. Start putting them into a spreadsheet. And if you feel like I'm being a little bit shouty on this podcast, I do apologize. If you're a first-time listener, I honestly don't often get this shouty, but I'm just don't want this to happen to you. This was such a tough time to watch another small business owner go through, and it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. And like I said, I see this way too often. I truly want the best for you and your business. So think of me as kind of like your business fairy godmother, just looking after all your bits. So I do recommend that you watch The Social Dilemma because, again, I'm all about information is power, and the more informed we are, the more informed our decisions can certainly be. But I'll hop down off my soapbox now, but I really do hope that you realize that I'm doing this for you. I want to keep you safe on platforms that really are helping us build our businesses, but we also need to be super cautious and we need to make sure we have contingency plans in place. So have a fabulous week. I will, of course, be back next Thursday with another great episode to help you simplify your business in 2020. I have some amazing guests coming up and I can't wait to share them with you. If you've ever found sales icky or the thought of selling icky, then tune in next week because my guest is epic. She's amazing, and she's going to show you that sales really are just an extension of what you're doing right now. If you're enjoying this podcast and you've listened this far, so hopefully you are, don't forget to subscribe and, of course, share this episode with another superstar business owner who's doing that daily grind and would really appreciate someone making their business life simpler, or, of course, would really like to hear about a couple of different tips and tricks on what they can do to keep themselves safer online. Don't forget to leave a rating and a review. If you could, I would so appreciate that. Thanks so much to Alicia78RE who left me a really great review on Apple Podcasts. She said, I found this podcast by accident and I'm so grateful that I did. As a new startup, all of the topics that Jen has in her podcast are so relevant and informative. I've made so many notes and got so many great ideas. I need to go get listening. Thank you so much, Alicia. I so appreciate that. And if you're listening and you've heard this shout out, please let me know your Instagram handle so that I can put that into the show notes and hopefully people can hop over and see what your business is all about as well. So guys, I'll see you next week for episode 96. Oh my goodness, I've got a cracker coming up for the 100th episode, but we've got to get there first, right? In the meantime, let's go and hang out on social and get social on social. You can find me at Instagram, Facebook, and of course on LinkedIn. But whatever you do, my small business peeps, remember, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
see you for the star that you are.